Now I have a question to ask you. Have you ever walked into a guitar store and just been struck with a wave of anxiety? Or how about this? Have you ever parked outside the guitar store and been so anxious you actually never made it in? Because I have. And that's exactly why I'm going to share with you 5 tips to bust guitar shop anxiety, to make your experience fun, to make your experience educational, and ultimately to make it fruitful as well. But before I dig into the 5 tips, I want to share with you a story that it will explain why I'm listing off my reasons why I have guitar shop anxiety. This was back it was my first year of community college, so I want to say 2002, 2003, maybe somewhere in there. I was into electric guitar. I had a BC Rich Mockingbird, which was very metal. You know, I was very into metal, which I still am, just for the record. And I saw in some guitar magazine, I saw that, oh wow, Stevie Ray Vaughan, he played with an Ibanez Tube Screamer. I believe it's a TS-808, I think. I'm not super up to snuff on all my pedals, but I'm pretty sure it is. Anyways, an Ibanez Tube Screamer. So I said, you know what? I need to go to Guitar Center, and I need to get myself an Ibanez Tube Screamer, because just by virtue of me buying that pedal, I'll probably sound exactly like Stevie Ray Vaughan. That's clearly the one thing holding me back. So I go to Guitar Center. I very nervously asked the individual behind the counter for the Tube Screamer because it was in a glass case, and he produced the Tube Screamer. I purchased said Tube Screamer. I believe it had a rebate too, which was way cool. You know, I was college, so the rebate was a big deal. I got it home, and I was super excited to dig into it. I plugged it in, I played with it, and man, I just did not like what I heard. I didn't like the pedal. I just didn't like it. It's not what I had thought. So the next day, I went back to the Guitar Center in Arlington Heights, just a couple suburbs over from Schaumburg. And I went with a buddy of mine, also named Tony. I hang out with a bunch of Tonys. And I went to return the pedal. And I placed it on the counter with my receipt. This was at the Guitar Center again in Arlington Heights. And the kid behind the counter, he looked at me, he's like, "Why are you returning this? What's wrong with it?" And I was like, "Nothing's wrong with it. I don't like the way it sounds." And I'll tell you what, he gave me the biggest eye roll. You could actually hear his eyes roll in his head. This was how big the eye roll was. He was like, "Ugh, this is like one of the top 10 pedals ever." And I immediately I felt super embarrassed. I felt dumb. I just felt stupid, because clearly I did something wrong, because I don't like one of the top 10 pedals of ever, you know. And this was like one of the first pedals I ever purchased, by the way. And it was after that moment, I didn't actually go back to that Guitar Center for quite some time. Now, this is not a rag on Guitar Center. I've had way better experiences in Guitar Center since that. But that particular store, I didn't go to for easily 1.5 to 2 years, because I was so embarrassed that I just didn't know. And it led me to go down this thought process of like, how many people are out there that don't go to guitar stores because they just don't know this imaginary knowledge that they quote unquote should know, or that they feel like they have to know everything before they walk in the store, but since they don't know everything, they never end up going into the store. And then I thought, how many guitar geeks haven't been able to live their best acoustic life because they're afraid to go into a guitar store? And I thought, man, this is a perfect segment for Acoustic Tuesday. So what I want to do right now is give you 5 tips to quell that guitar shop anxiety. And the first tip that I have for you is, I like to call it phone a friend. Think of the old game shows. More distinctly, bring a friend, okay? There's something about bringing somebody that you know, that you trust their opinions. Maybe they know a little bit more guitar than you, maybe they know less. But either way, having somebody there with you brings down the anxiety factor significantly, because that means you're not stuck just talking to the salesperson or just talking to store staff, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it gives you kind of that buffer zone. And if you have a question, you can also ask your friend in addition to the sales staff. You can say, okay, well, you know, I know Todd here at the store says this is a good deal, but hey, Jimmy, is this a good deal? What do you think? Having that buffer is really important for reducing anxiety and allowing you to have the best experience. Plus, if it's somebody whose opinion you trust, which they're your friend, so I'm sure you trust their opinion, you can have them play guitar and ask them what they think. They're an unbiased opinion that you can pull from, which is a huge resource. So that's tip number 5. Tip number 4 is to call ahead. This seems like such an old school thing to do, but if you're trying to reduce your anxiety going into a guitar store, if you call ahead and talk to somebody, ask them questions, get to know their name, and know if they're going to be there when you plan on going. Say, hey, I'm planning on being at the store at 4. Are you going to be there? And if they say yes, immediately you have a connection point. And immediately they know what you're looking for. And immediately they can start helping you out to the best of their ability, which right away kind of puts you on the same page as the salesperson. I think so often there's this sizing up that happens when you walk into a guitar store, like, what does this salesperson think I know? What do I think the salesperson knows? And then usually we end up kind of, critiquing ourselves, or I should say this from my experience, where it's like, well, clearly the salesperson knows more than me. If you call ahead and talk to them beforehand, it immediately puts you guys on the same playing level, or the same page, I should say. And in that case, they can help you out to the best of their ability, and then you can feel comfortable going further and getting into the store and actually digging into your experience. Tip number 3, and this one seems silly, but it's true, and I've got another story that goes along with this, is ask questions. And the cliche is true here. There are no stupid questions. The only stupid question is the one that you didn't ask. And let's go back to my Ibanez tube screamer moment. Had I asked what this pedal was capable of prior to purchasing it, I probably would have found out that it wasn't the heavy metal distortion that I wanted. It was a simple overdrive, and it really pairs best with tube amps, of which I didn't have any. So by me not asking that question, I kind of put myself at a disadvantage. Whereas I could have just said, hey, what does this do? What sound can I expect? Can you demo it for me? If you're not comfortable demoing something, you can always ask to have it demoed for you. The sales staff at any guitar store are there to help you. If they don't want to help you, it's a guitar store that you don't want to be in. So ask questions. There's nothing too silly. If you don't know, ask the question. And you'll walk out having learned a bunch, and you'll walk out feeling like, wow, maybe I didn't buy anything, but I went into that store. They provided awesome knowledge, a great experience, and now I'm way more likely to go back and feel more comfortable going back because they entertained all the questions that I had. So please ask questions. And tip number 2, this one's really important. I think this is important for any guitar geek, for any guitar shopper. Be honest about what you're looking for. And I say this because sometimes, and I'll say this again from personal experience, sometimes it feels like I'm kind of scared to ask for certain things, or I certainly was when I was first getting into acoustic guitar. I'm kind of scared to be really honest about what I want because I'm afraid of what it means. So for example, I could go into a guitar store and say, I'm looking for a blues kind of guitar. Well, as soon as I say that, what comes along with that? What kind of baggage does that carry? Well, that might, then the salesperson might think, gosh, he's a really amazing blues guitar player, of which I might not be. So it's a little bit scary to be honest what you're looking for, be honest with the salesperson what you're looking for. But it's so crucial to be honest because that puts them in a position to help you as best they can. And I say this also for another reason. Sometimes you go to the guitar store to just try things out. Your intention is not to buy, your intention is to experience. And guitar stores are there to not only give you the option to buy things, but also to give you the option to experience things. So if you go into the guitar store and you say, Todd, or whatever the sales guy's name is, or saleswoman's name is, say, hey, I really want to check out some different neck profiles because I'm not sure what I'll really like. I'm not in a position to buy today, but I want to start collecting information so when I'm ready to buy, I buy the guitar that's perfect for me and what I want. That right there is being honest with the salesperson. And that right there is going to get you so far because it's going to open up this door of opportunity to try different things. And the salesperson knows. They're not going to start pushing you down the sales road. They're just going to provide you with information. So be honest with the salesperson with what you're looking for. And the last tip that I have for you, tip number 1, is to listen and to learn. When you're at the guitar store, the salesperson might be younger than you. The salesperson might be older than you. The salesperson might not be well-versed in acoustic guitars. The salesperson might be super well-versed in acoustic guitars. It doesn't matter. We're all guitar geeks. Chances are they're a major guitar geek because they're working in a guitar store. And chances are, since they're a guitar geek, you can learn from that guitar geek. We can all learn from one another. And I think, again, there's this sizing up that starts to happen when you walk into a guitar store. And if we just set that aside and say, hey, I'm a guitar geek, I'm gonna talk to this other guitar geek, and together we'll probably teach one another something. And that's a really cool exchange. That's something that I can't necessarily say I've seen in many other industries other than the guitar industry. So listen and learn. It's so important. And chances are, if you're a guitar geek, you love learning lessons, regardless of where you're at. You might be at a guitar store, you might be at a jam. Chances are, if you're a guitar geek, you're gonna be open to those learning experiences, which is crucial. Which is, again, why I want to mention Tony's Acoustic Challenge. If you're a guitar geek, if these tips resonated with you, you're a perfect candidate for Tony's Acoustic Challenge, where you can learn lessons every single day from the program, from your fellow guitar geeks, experience fun and progress every single day. So to learn more about that, please visit tonysacoustichallenge.com and see how it can take your playing to the next level today. And please, if you like what you read, don't hesitate to request an invite, because once you do so, you'll be ushered in to the group of the most friendliest guitar geeks you've ever met in your entire life.